Okay, hey, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita live stream of April the 15th, 2022. Hugo or Figure 4, which one is best for Alita? Where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gundam, and the greatly desired sequels. I am your host, the Muskogee Creek, or otherwise known as Creek Indian, from Denver, Colorado, and we have some other folks that will be coming on once again. I promise. They run late all the time, I suppose. So we did a stream similar to this several months ago. I don't recall exactly when, but it was a stream that was basically, it took a look at all of the men in Alita's life. But on this stream, we're gonna take a look at just two of them, and these are the two that that Alita actually had a romantic interest in. Also, if you're interested, down in the comments below the stream here, that we have, I put a link to. I guess Den, the last 300, he had a video that he also did, who was the best man for Alita. And if you want to look at that, you can pull that up and kind of take a look at it. What we're going to do here today, too, is we're going to get a little interactive with this. Certainly, we're going to, invite folks on the stream and, get them to participate type thing in terms of we want you to vote for who you think is the right person for Alita, the right man between these two. But before we do that, let me welcome Do Not Stand By. He's from Arvada, not California, God, Arvada, Colorado. How's it going? Do Not Stand By.
It's going good. Good to see you, Creek.
All right, good. I'm doing good. So, how are things up there? I bet you're getting the same weather we are.
Yeah, just windy, but hopefully it'll die down and we'll be able to have some nicer weather. We just were having a kite festival last weekend for Arvada, but unfortunately the winds were so high, they were more than 20 miles per hour, that people couldn't keep their kites from flying off.
Yeah, and probably couldn't keep their hats on either, probably, if they had them.
Sure.
So, So anyway, then of course we just got joined by Angelus. Angelus is from Brisbane in Queensland, Australia. How's it going, Angelus?
Good. Just a quick one. How's my mic? Because I know I was having issues last week.
Sounds good. Sounds real good.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. So Do Not Stand By and Angelus, I guess. Before we go into it, let me ask Angelus, how are things down there in Brisbane?
Well, the world hasn't ended, so that's always a plus.
Yeah, that's a good thing. So,
well, it's a bit of I guess, an international in-house joke, if you want to call it that, because whenever those conspiracy theorists say, "Oh, the world's going to end at such and such date," just ask an Aussie, "Oh, has the world ended yet?" Because we're in the future.
That's right.
It's like, yep, no, still going, still spinning.
Has it? So we got at least another day to look forward to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
another
cool.
day of fighting for an Alita sequel.
That's right. We may. I tell you what, we might do. We might play that video of Rosa again toward the end of the end of the stream, I guess. Just to give people a little extra oomph. Because we all want that sequel so bad, and we want a series. I think most people want a series. Want a sequel more than a series. But I think for me, I would be happy to get a series, and I would still want the sequel. There's no doubt about that. But a series would be a big plus also. So I think that'd be a really positive thing. I think.
Who sings that song? I want it all, and I want it now.
That's it. Well, everybody on this stream knows that the Creek wants everything on Alita here. He wants a sequel, a series.
ACU.
He wants anime. That's right. I want an ACU. That's right. So, by goodness, we're going to get it, I guess. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the topic here, I guess. And once again, once we get to starting, you can vote. I'm going to keep tabulation on who you think should be, the right, or who is the right person or the right man for Alita, for our Battle Angel. And of course, we all love Alita, so we want her to get the best one. So that's the way that works. I guess. Before we get into either Hugo or Figure 4, just a little bit about Alita to begin with, and we can discuss a few more things about her. But this is just a few thoughts I had about her. First of all, even though she's a cyborg and she's a very, kind of, super technical, technology, nanotech, all that stuff, despite the fact that she is superhuman, she is very, very human, I think. She's certainly in her Imaginos body and in her tuned body. She's got, she's still, not, did I say Imaginos? I meant to say Berserker. Did I say Berserker? I hope I did. But anyway, she's got a human brain, and that part of her drives, I guess, her personality and all that for sure. Our girl is very intelligent. Now she makes bad decisions sometimes. There's no doubt about that, because we all do. Any human being is going to make bad decisions from time to time. But overall, I think Alita is a very intelligent woman. I think she's just very, very human, very intelligent, etc. She is super compassionate and loving. I mean, we've seen that, how she how she was with that little dog in the movie. She was very compassionate to that little animal, little stray, that nobody really cared about, it seemed like, except her. And of course, with Hugo and Figure 4, certainly she was very loving with them. Now, in the movie, we didn't get the sense that Alita was sleeping with Hugo or anything like that. But in the novelization, you kind of get that feeling, because and I believe in the novelization, it speaks to the fact how she comes in early in the morning, after being out all night with Hugo and having, and just telling Ito that, she just got up early, when Ito knew, nah, that's not right. Because Ito's, he's kind of got a lot of experience, so he knew what was going on. And with Figure 4, I believe in the manga, and Do Not Stand By. I don't know if you read the manga or not. I think, have you read any of the manga?
Yeah, I read the first 9 volumes, but I haven't read Last Order. I've also read Martian Chronicles.
Yeah. Well, I think Alita, in her relationship with Figure 4, I think that was in the box set. That's in the second volume of that. And I think she's basically, I think she just, correct me, either of you, correct me if I'm wrong, either you or Angelus. I believe she lived with Figure 4 for about a month, I think, but I'm not sure about that because I don't remember. So anyway, you kind of know that, that they had a, kind of a romantic relationship for sure, and she was in her tuned body when she was living with Figure 4. And now Hugo only knew her in her doll body and her berserker body. So Alita she can be very easy to get along with. I mean, we see this in her interaction with people, when she comes up on that street motorball match that they had going, the one Hugo was in. And Tanji and Koyomi and others were in that thing. She tried to be friendly with every one of the people there. She was all smiles, and said hi to everybody and stuff like that. And I really got the feeling that she is easy to get along with. However, she does have her moments. I mean, she can definitely fly off the handle. She can do that, and that's because of her training, her military type training, so, and of course that kind of leads us into that next bullet of how she can be very impulsive at times. She can just act, and particularly if she's fighting. Now, we're not going to really concentrate on her fighting ability here, But when she's doing that, she can be, she's very proactive. I mean, she gets after it, when she fights, and in a lot of her aspects of her life, she does that too. Now, that said, she's also kind of strategic in her thinking. We talked about that a little bit when she was, how she prepared for her second league tryout, and even during you get the feeling that during the novelization, she was doing that because she trained with Hugo for probably, I don't know how many, it was a month or 3 weeks or something like this. And if you've read Maxie's fan flick, then you know that she actually trained in that too, because he's got like 10 chapters right now, and I've been after him to do a chapter 11 because he kind of goaded me all the time for not reading it fast enough. Then I finished it. He's still not got his chapter 11 done, so now I get to poke him a little bit. So all in fun, of course. And then last but certainly not least, man, Alita is a very objective-oriented person. When she gets a target, she is going to meet it. There's no doubt about that. So anyway, do not stand by. And Angelus, do you have anything to add to that?
I'd replace intelligent with intuitive because I wouldn't say there's a lot that she knows about, but she's basically the topics that she does, Panzerkunst, like, I don't know, it's more like yes, she's naive because obviously she's young, well, in her second life, if you want to put it that way, but like most of her actions and reactions all come from her intuition as opposed to a source of intelligence. Like, she's not stupid, but like it's more the kind of intelligence where you just can't get anything past her. You can't, I don't know, fool her or hide stuff from her for very long, because one way or another she'll find out.
Okay, I think I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with you. She's not stupid. That's kind of why I had intelligent there. But yeah, I like that intuitive thing better, I think. So how about you? Not stand by. Oh, go ahead, Angelus.
I was just going to say, like I said, it's not necessarily, maybe I had a slight poor choice of words, not necessarily replacing intelligence, but I guess redefining it to be a more intuitive sort of mind, as opposed to a very like intellectual one, if that makes sense. Like the difference between a nerd or someone who's just simply switched on, so to speak, in the head.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm trying to sort of think of, because like I do feel Alita is like you might be able to like sort of tell a white lie, but you wouldn't be able to like fool her completely. Like she's, I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't get away with a big lie for long, because obviously she'll find out eventually, whether it be Figure 4, whether it be Hugo. She even eventually found out that Nova's a bit of a, dick.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So
by the way,
intelligence.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. By the way, Hybrid says since the Figure 4 is not the movie, should we compare him with Hugo or Hugo? But I would say this, Hybrid. I mean, you can do either way. But what I would say is that since we all know we're going to get that sequel, and we're going to get series, and we're going to get more than a sequel, we're going to get a trilogy or more. Figure 4 will show up at some point in a movie. So that would be just my thing. But you can go either way with that. It's up to you. It's all about what you think is the best for her. What do you think? Do not stand by. Who do you think, or rather, is there anything you want to add to this list here about Alita's characteristics?
Yeah, I would add that in the movie she's very trusting up until the point that she's faced with the betrayal of Hugo. She wants to think the best of people. But if you get on her bad side, you can get on her bad side pretty quickly, like with Tanji. But I wouldn't say that it was unjustified the way that she held a grudge against Tanji, but she still hung out with him, and she still treated him decently after what he did to her in the first time she did Motorball. But she was trusting to the point where she didn't suspect that Hugo had any bad intentions. She was trusting of other people by default, and she wasn't paranoid or suspicious. And I hope that they keep that in the sequel. That I don't want her to become so paranoid and suspicious because of her previous betrayals. I do like that about her, that she naturally wants to think the best of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, you know, although I would say in her case, and this could go back to that being easy to get along with, but has her moments. She did get even with Tanji, didn't she? Very much so.
Yeah, she got even with Tanji, but she didn't. She didn't hold a grudge against him after that. After she got even with them, they were good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, now in the novelization, which is of course not either the manga or the movie, she gets over it like you say, but Tanji doesn't. He still, you know, he still has a little thing about her, you know, about doing that to him, you know, even though he did it to her first, you know. So, but yeah, in the movie, they were fine after that to a point, you know. Although at the end, you know, when Zapan cut him in half, you know, he was still calling her a hard body, you know, so almost like a term of derision, I guess. But I think that was his kind of his preset kind of bias against cyborgs, I think.
And am I muted? No. Yeah. Do not stand by. Even more eloquently put it than I did, because yes, Hugo managed to sort of hide it from her, but like she was still, like, going back to my intuitive comment, she still knew that Hugo wasn't a bad person. And by extension, again, because of Do Not Stand By pointed out, she knew that Tanji wasn't a very bad person. He's just a, you know, bit of a coconut, you know, hair on the outside, moist and wet on the inside. But and but yeah, like, he wasn't a bad person, but obviously she knew that Vector was. She definitely knew that Nova was in the movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's right. That's what I meant by again, like, Do Not Stand By explained it better than I did in that context. But that's what I meant by like, she's very intuitive, or has a very intuitive sort of intelligence, rather than like a very intellectual one, like Doc Ito, for example.
Yeah, he's very he's very intellectual, isn't he? I mean, you get that sense. I don't know. I don't get that sense as much in the manga as I do in the movie. But even in the manga, you get a sense that he kind of, you know, he's got a lot going for him intelligence wise. So. Okay. Anything else about our girl here? Well, there is just one more thing I think we need to bring out, and this is going to be for Angelus and I. She's got the power of Lulu. I knew that was going to get you, Angelus. So, but anyway, you know, yeah, she definitely has that going for her, doesn't she?
I don't know. It's so closely meshed together that I can't tell if it's Alita or Rosa, because I've been watching a lot of Rosa's content lately. Like you probably tell in the tweets. Excuse me, just for a second.
Yeah.
In my tweets, where I mentioned I've been watching Undone, and you know, that's Rosa through and through. I binged Cherry Flavor like the moment it dropped, and it took me like 10 hours to watch 8 episodes because I needed a slight break in between each episode.
Yeah.
Of course, there's Alita as well, like Chips, Maze Runner. I've seen it all, and while she plays the characters in those particular ways very, very well, at least to what the script offers her, like she's when she talks about having all the nuances of her performance come through on the what's the technology called? Motion capture.
Yes.
Like, you can definitely tell it's her. Like, it's weird because like every time I see her now, I guess you could almost even say that she's typecast in a sense, but not. But like, you can see a little bit of Alita in all the other roles, and then I could flip the script, so to speak, and say I can see a bit of all the other roles in Alita because,
Yeah.
and that common link is Rosa, and that's why like it took a movie like Alita to put her on the map for me, but you
Yeah.
know, like she's one of my goats now, greatest of all time
Yes.
actors.
Yeah. Well, she is my greatest of all time actors, I think.
Hence why
On the on the female side, that is.
well, I mean, I guess if I was to specifically point out a favorite male actor, the closest current one would probably be Scott Adkins,
Yeah.
whom, ironically enough, is one of my top favorites to actually even play Figure Four. But
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. He would probably be a good figure four, but I because of his ability and he's I think he's cut that way, a little bit. But I would still like to see Jason Momoa as figure four myself, but I don't know if that's even
well,
possible.
like I said, he's one of. But
Yeah,
but yeah, but even then, I definitely wouldn't rank Scott Adkins as high as Rosa. Like
no,
overall, she's really talented, really incredible. I just can't speak highly enough. And this
yeah,
goes like beyond Alita. Like I said, that movie put her on the map for me. But she's my number one greatest now, without a doubt.
yeah,
Hence the power of Uwu.
yeah. That's right. How about you? Do not stand by. What's your take on that? On your greatest actor or actress or whatever?
Yeah, I'm in full agreement. Rosa Salazar is my favorite actor, male or female, just because of her role in Alita. I mean, she gave the performance of a lifetime for me, and I wanted to have that opportunity again. And the best opportunity would be sequels. Um, I mean, if you compare the manga with the way that Rosa portrayed her Alita in the movie,
Yeah,
she just took the emotions that come out in the artwork of Yukito Kishiro, and she brought them to life like no other actor could.
yeah,
And a direct example would be the anime. The anime version of Alita is so flat compared to what
yeah.
Rosa Salazar did.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing about Rosa is she's very expressive, isn't she? I mean, just just her facial expressions alone when she was playing Alita, I mean, God Almighty, I mean that stuff knocked my head off. I mean, when I first saw it, I mean, she is so good. I mean, it's uh, if she ever listens to one of these streams and hear us talking about her like that, I hope we don't make her blush too much. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I think now I don't really have as you would say, a favorite male actor. I have several of them that I kind of like, but Rosa is above all of them. She's above any other actor at this point for me. So, yeah, she's number one in the Creeks book. That's for sure. So. Okay. Well, I guess we hit Rosa. Or Rosa. We kind of, just, I guess, debated Alita quite a bit. We all think she's great and that sort of thing. But who is really the best for her? Now we got these two choices here. And as I mentioned a while ago, I've got that a link to Dan's video down in the comments if anybody wants to look at it. He also throws chaos into the mix. Now, I did not put chaos into the mix here because Alita really did not have a romantic relationship with him. I mean, I think he wanted to have one with her, obviously, but she did not want to have. She didn't think of him in those terms. I mean, she admired him a lot. I think because of his uh, since he had so much going for him in terms of his power of psychometry, and he did a lot for the people out in the Badlands and stuff like that. But she didn't have that feeling for him like she had for either Hugo or Figure Four. Uh, Once again, Figure Four and Hugo, they're pretty drastically different guys. Now we're going to kind of go over each one of them here in just a few minutes. But, I would say that the way we should approach this, and when we start talking about either one of these guys, you folks in the chat, go ahead and vote, for who you think. Just type in either Hugo or Figure Four. And I'll keep tabs on it. But I think the way we want to take it is like, I'm like the Creek here. I'm her uncle, and she comes up to me, says, "Uncle Creek, which one would you pick?" And I would tell her, who I would pick. Now I'm not going to reveal that till we get just about through the discussion here, But I certainly would. I certainly would, tell her who I thought was the best for him. Now, in terms of, I like both of the characters. Now, my feeling about Hugo when I first saw him in the movies, the movie a couple of times, I had a kind of a negative feeling toward him, after he made that deal, or he, was still trying to make a deal with Vector to get to Zalem, even though he saw Gerwishka had Kanuba's grind cutters. And I didn't really like that in him too much, but my feelings toward him evolved over the time, because he did treat Alita very well, and he did, he came around toward the end. Now it's like Angela says, about him that when they were on the supply tube and he is cut all to pieces, it was like, okay, he came around, but it was like too little too late at that point, I think. Would you not agree with that, Angelus?
Even to the point of saying that overall, like, it was simply because it was too little too late, in the context that he just simply didn't have enough time to develop a character, because his life was quite literally cut short. Whereas obviously Figure Four has a lot more life experience. But in saying that, I have to go to a completely different sort of, I guess, fandom, if you want to call it that here. But there's a book series that I've read where there's this one character where I feel that 9 out of 10 people hate him, and I'm one of that 10% that like him. But there's this one character that makes a lot of bad choices, but almost all of those bad choices are, for lack of better terms, human-based bad choices, rather than out of I'm evil, so I have to do that sort of thing. And in Hugo's cases, especially added on top of that, he was manipulated. So even the information that his head was receiving was controlled, and thus he made choices that, in hindsight, were pretty stupid. But it was based on bad intelligence or bad info.
Yeah,
it's like when a military general fucks up on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Well, shit, if I had this kind of intelligence before I made that decision. But yeah, so long story short, I reckon Hugo would be in a strong contention had it not been for that cutting short, because like I said, he did sort of
come around,
finally
yeah,
learn from his mistakes. And it's the fact that he did learn from his mistakes that makes him a contender, because if you cut that bit out, hell no.
Yeah, okay. By the way, Hybrid asked, what is the origins of Figure Four's name? Hybrid, I'm not sure if that was a translation type of glitch. Do Not Stand By or Angelus, do you know where that comes from, or is that just something that Yukito Kishiro actually just gave him the name Figure Four?
It's most likely because Figure's like part of his fighting style is somewhat grappling based, and Figure Four is an
Okay.
actual
Yeah, that's
move, as we all know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I guess Finestro asks, who's that in the middle? Well, that picture in the middle there, that artwork, that is Figure Four. In the past, Den and I have kind of discussed, or I wouldn't say argue, but we were, kind of, went back and forth on it. He thinks Figure Four is Polynesian, which he could be. I tend to think he's American Indian, though, because he does live in the Southwest. He lives in Alhambra, California. And, that's, and a lot of on the West Coast and even in the Gulf of Mexico, that coast, and even up the North Coast of America, a lot of the American Indian cultures, or the tribes there, were fishing type tribes. That was their whole society, was based around getting food, or at least part of it. No tribe is the same. It's not a monolithic group, but they did a lot of fishing, a lot of these Indian tribes. It's not like what you see in the movies where Indians are always riding horses in the plains and stuff like that. American Indians are a pretty diverse group. It's even to the point where they're white Indians. The Delaware actually have blonde hair and blue eyes. Some of them, so they're so they're pretty diverse, actually. But anyway, I tend to think of Figure Four as an American Indian. But he could be Polynesian, and the reason why I say that is because what do we got here? Yes.
So
yep.
That's 18.
Yeah.
So that's what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Figure Four. I think he's, he is a fisherman. But we're going to get to this, about him and Hugo, and he's got that DNA, I guess you could say, because if you look at if you consider human beings that are in East Asia and down in the Polynesian islands even and stuff like that, they all have similar DNA to American Indians. So anyway, Finestro said he thought that was me, Figure Four. Yeah, I wish. So anyway, because he's a pretty I guess jacked guy, Figure Four is.
Just a quick question, Ricky.
Yeah.
With the native Indians, is there a tribe that's almost gypsy-like in the sense that they don't stay in one place for long, or anything like that?
Well, there are several tribes that migrated, if you could call them that. Like for instance, Lakota would actually migrate to warmer weather in the winter, and then they'd go back up to the Dakotas, even in Minnesota and up in southern Canada, and then they would kind of go back and forth. The Cheyenne did that a little bit, but the southeastern Indians, which are more like woodland Indians, and those on the coast, they would tend to, for the most part, they would stay in their areas, although some of them migrated too. So there's no particular tribe that you could say was a gypsy per se that I'm aware of. Maybe there is, I'm not an expert on all Indians, but, I would say that there were several tribes that did migrate, to it, like they'd have a winter home, and they'd migrate back up north to the summer and stuff like that to get out of the heat, obviously, So, but that's that there's several tribes that did that, Angelus, but I don't recall of any. I don't know of any off the top of my head anyway that were just absolute gypsies. Could have been some, but I'm not aware of them. So
Yeah, and just to sort of answer any questions that the chat might have in the context of what this has to do with the stream, I was just thinking with figure 4, like I'd be 50-50 on whether he was an island based or like a native Indian based
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
character, because in a way both uh, sort of like live their lives off the land. Like you mentioned, the ones that lived like near a creek or river, a
yeah,
good portion of their food would be, sea, like
yeah,
seafood. Like they learn how to fish pretty quickly, or what else are you going to eat?
yeah,
Whereas those that were more inland, of course, they'd learn how to hunt rabbits and, I don't know, God knows what sort of meat, deer
yeah,
or whatever. Like you'd see, I don't want to sort of come across as generalizing, but you'd see like chieftains with feathers, or I don't know,
yeah.
with wolf head. Like, didn't one of Figure Four's senseis or something have like a wolf head or something? Or am I just imagining
Yeah, I
things?
think so. Yeah, I don't remember. It's been so long since I've read the manga. Of course, you and I have picked it up again, haven't we? I haven't read it since I told you what was it, last
Yeah.
Friday, or Saturday, I
Well,
guess. But
even then, yeah. Even then, if they like killed an animal for its skin, for example, or its
yeah,
fur, wool, whatever, I doubt that they'd let the meat go to waste. For
yeah, they
as a
would. Yeah, they used all of the animal. I mean, uh, but like I say, that I want to bring it back to Alita and Figure Four and Hugo in a little bit here. But what I would say is that you know Indians, American Indians were a pretty diverse group. For instance, among my ancestors, the reason why we were called Creek Indians is because when the British came down to the southeast, they found a bunch of these small communities, or just like small groups, even family groups, that were living on riverbeds and creek sides, and they just lumped them all together and called them Creek Indians. There are several tribes of Creek Indians. So it's just really in a very real way, it's kind of like America itself. America is a melting pot, as they would call it. You know, uh, that in terms of that. So anyway, but to your point about him being 50-50, whether he's Polynesian or say Islander, or let's say American Indian, uh, East Asians and Indians, which East Asians would also, Polynesians were also, offshoot of that group.
part
They
of it.
all
Yeah.
have this, yeah, they all have the same DNA. They just do, because when the East Asians came over the Bering Land Bridge when it was not underwater, back about 20,000 years ago, they came down into America. There was like 20 family groups, I think, and they all came down and just scattered out amongst America because it was such a big group, a big area, you know. And some of them even got even down into South America, So and of course they just procreated, and just multiplied, So like any human being would do, So anyway, but certainly Hugo, he's a white boy. There's no doubt about that. He's
He's a city kid.
yeah, he's well. Let's go ahead and get to that then, I guess. Uh, Hugo is definitely he's definitely a city boy. There's no doubt about that. I guess he grew up. He was born. He grew up in Iron City. And now what he would call a city boy. I'm not sure about us because he grew up in a very dystopian culture. And but still in all, there was some level of civilization there. Not like say the folks that are living out in the Badlands. If you read the manga. I think Hugo is very intelligent. Now, I wouldn't say it's so much intellectual. It's kind of like you were saying, but he's learned from, as we would say, the College of Hard Knocks is where he's got his where he got his degree, if you want to think of it. He's a very resourceful person. I mean, he basically makes a living out of jacking cyborgs, as you see there. And if you remember in the movie when Alita first meets Hugo, when he goes back to get on his cycle, and she's standing there, she says, "Who is that?" Like, "Oh, I like him," type thing. And Ito says that's Hugo. He's a very hard worker, So, you do get that feeling that that's a plus for him. He's got a good work ethic. Now, the work he does is pretty bad, obviously. But I guess in that time period, we would call it bad today. But, these people had to survive the best way they could, And it wasn't a crime, actually, for people to jack cyborgs at that point, So, what we would call a crime, they may not, He is very much someone who knows motorball very, very well. As a matter of fact, he trained Alita, how to play motorball. Now, she picked it up pretty fast, I mean, in the novelization, I think it was like 3 weeks she picked it up, being able to play and to actually qualify for a, second league tryout, which is a pro league. It's like like we said a few weeks ago, it's like the minor leagues in baseball, or like college football or something like that in America. And Hugo is very much a survivor. This guy, now certainly he doesn't survive at the end of the movie for sure, but he's very much he's very much he can adapt. He can get by on just about nothing. And yeah, Finestro brings up a good point. He has good connections. Now, I would say one thing, Finestro, I don't know how good those connections are. One of them is Vector, and that guy was a criminal. So I don't know how good a connection that is. But yeah, he was connected, and he had to be so he could, sell parts, to various, including Vector. But even I think in the novelization, they talk about how he would, get technology and sell it to like restaurant owners and stuff, or just give it to them, so they'd have a place to hang out and stuff like that. So, and yeah, Hybrid, he does. Well, he had more than a cyborg arm. I think you might, he had more than that until he got chopped up, of course. But I mean, he had an entire cyborg body except for his head, so, but yeah, he turned into a cyborg himself. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of what my take on Hugo is, and do not stand by what anything that you got that you might want to add to that.
Yeah, well, I would say that Hugo, he still managed to have a good relationship with Ito, and I'm sure Ito was smart enough to know that Hugo might not have been on the up and up on everything, but he must have done some honest work for Ito to have a pretty good opinion of him.
Yeah. Well, he said, he had those servos, I guess, or no, it wasn't servos, was it? It was some circuit board he had for him, I guess. I know in the novelization they talk about Ito always wanting servos. I think Hugo even gave him some at some point, or sold him some, or something like that. So anyway, I'm sorry I butted in there. Do not stand by anything else on that.
Oh yeah. Also at the end, near the end, when Ito found out that he jacked cyborgs, he said that this city corrupts even good people. So it indicated that Ito did have a generally positive opinion of Hugo, and
Yeah.
he was even surprised that he was involved with jacking cyborgs.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely, though, when Alita first met him, he was very protective. What he had his arm around like Alita, and says, "Hey, Alita's new here." I mean,
Yeah.
to say this is my girl here. You're not gonna. I don't want you to mess it up for her or something like that. That's the feeling I got. So, and
Yeah, well, I think that
oh, go ahead.
I think that was less that Ito might have had suspicions about Hugo and more about him just wanting to make sure that Alita didn't get harmed and being very protective of her.
Yeah. Angelus, any thoughts about Hugo?
It two, one expanding again on "Do Not Stand By" on what he said, especially the second part just before he got his cyborg body. Like or actually even as he got his cyborg body, like even this city corrupts even the good people. So he probably knew. This is where I think Ito was like all kinds of intelligent because
Yeah.
you couldn't get much past him, or if you did, he knows something was up. He just didn't know what. But I felt like he knew that Hugo was mixing with the wrong crowd, and
Yeah.
it was a bad enough crowd that he thinks that you know, like he's probably staying away from the absolute worst. But the fact that he's close, like the best way I can explain this is through an analogy, and it's like you can shovel shit all day, and yet when you get home you still smell like it, sort of thing. And same thing with the the bad crowd of Iron City. Like I felt like he knew that he must have been getting these parts from somewhere because Ito like scoured that scrapyard, and he
Mhm.
it was pure chance that he came across a leader.
Yeah.
But Hugo getting all these parts for him, it's like, well, gee, where did you get this?
Yeah.
I guess I can't complain much, and if you're not going to tell,
I'm not going to ask. Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like again, like another analogy is Robin Hood. Steal from the rich to give to the poor.
Yeah.
Stealing still wrong, but Robin Hood was not keeping it for himself. Hugo in this case was sort of doing it for the wrong reasons
Yeah.
until a leader came by and gave him a different option. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's what's turning the gears in his head to the point where by the end of the movie, he finally changed his mind. But again, too little, too late.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that he did learn from his mistakes. He just didn't had the chance to act on them, I guess, in a way. That's like probably the one big plus that's working for Hugo in this debate.
Yeah. I would want to bring up something here too. Something Hybrid said in the chat a while back. He pointed out the difference between Hugo and Yugo from the manga. Hugo from the manga, he's basically, as to put it succinctly, he's a little shit, is what he was. He was a street urchin, and he was, ripping spines out of people's back, So at that point, I guess their advancement medical technology, it didn't kill people because they could make them cyborgs, I guess. But he really didn't care about Alita very much. I mean, he probably thought she was cute. A matter of fact, I remember him saying how cute she was, but he really didn't care about her in the manga until the very end. I mean, even just as his he was about to fall from the supply tube, then he started caring about Alita. But yeah, that's a good point. Finn has a pretty sad moment, there for sure. But it's a very different character, Hugo and Hugo. So anyway, you can factor both those into your thought when you vote. So either way, it can we don't care which one you vote for or against, for that matter.
And there's no wrong answer. As the only right answer is the one that you choose for yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're not going to be a right or wrong thing here on this one, Uh, but yeah, Hugo in the movie is a lot different than Hugo is in the manga, or Hugo is in the anime for that matter. And it's been so long since I've seen the anime, I can't really remember what that was all about. I think it was probably a mix between the two, maybe, but I don't remember. I only saw the anime once, and it was it's well over a year ago. So I don't know. I can't recall. So
Yeah, I'll say that
okay.
for the anime is just like the manga. It's much closer to the manga than the movie.
Yeah, I got that sense too, So, but I can't recall exactly if it was exactly like the manga or if it was, somewhere in between. But yeah, okay, I'll go with that. So, anything else? I guess Finestro pointed out a while ago that Hugo is more of someone who gets motorball spare parts. That's true in the manga. I mean, rather in the movie. In the novelization, Hugo, which is what the movie's partly based on, of course, that was written by Pat Cadigan. Uh, Hugo is a qualified motorball trainer because he did train Alita on how to play motorball. There was one scene in there where he had the intelligence or he had the knowledge to know that when Alita first started training, he and Tanji had a little track set up where they could practice motorball, and Hugo took Alita to that track, and she was wearing just regular skates, kind of like she did in the movie, sort of and as she was doing this stuff, and he said, maybe you need to, you know, he had these wheel feet, that he had. So he got her to sit down and he put took her regular feet off and put wheel feet on her. And he knew that was going to make her, is going to improve her balance, the reaction time. You didn't have to worry about, the skates failing on her or something like that. So when he replaced her feet with wheel feet, and that's wheel, Wheel, not real wheel. But anyway, she did a lot better on that, even though she did pretty good on the regular skates. So he kind of knew a little bit about the equipment you need in motorball. Certainly he supplied parts in the movie to Vector, and he said, me and my team, we prepare, we give, we get parts we do business with Vector, Vector's team, but he actually trained Alita. So he is I think he is you can almost call him like a coach, maybe, or even an assistant coach, on how to play motorball. And she learned from him. So anyway, that's but to your point there, Finestro, he's not a motorball player. I mean, certainly a human being and get out there on the track, and they'd be the cyborgs would make mincemeat out of him. But he does know the game. He knows the game. He knows the equipment, and he knew how to train Alita how to play motorball. So.
Well, I think maybe in an alternate reality where Japan didn't frame Hugo and he didn't get in trouble with the law, maybe Hugo could have lived on as Alita's coach and helped her get to the Champions League and the ambition of them going to Zala.
Yeah. Although I do think Vector was conning him. I don't think Vector had any intention of sending Hugo up to Zalem, as a human. I think he would have done him like, if he was going to go to Zalem, he'd have done him like he did, Shirin, where he, got her brain, got her hands, that kind of stuff, and her heart, and that would have been it. Hugo would have been the same fix. But I would say that Shirin had some different kind of qualities that Nova, admired in her. She was certainly a cyber surgeon like Ito was, and she was good at it. She was intelligent. She was, she had a lot going for her in that regard than Hugo did. So, Hugo was probably even thought by Nova, even in the movie, as kind of like a little street rat, or something like that, And I don't think Hugo, I don't care what kind of money he got, he would have never got up to Zalem, not as a human anyway. So that's just my thought,
Yeah, and I guess there would have had to be another part of that alternate universe, which is Nova not wanting Alita dead. So that was also a
Yeah.
big part of it.
Yeah, that's right. Because in the novelization, it speaks to Nova changing his mind about killing Alita because she was way more fun being alive and him observing her and interacting with her in different ways, and it was more fun for him, So he relented on his pursuit of killing her, so he could just kind of have fun seeing her, struggle through life or something. I don't know, so, but because if he wanted to kill her, he could have done it, whenever Hugo, whenever he fell, of course, Alita was still on the supply tube, hanging by that Damascus blade. He could have just set down another defense ring, and that'd have been the end of Alita, But he didn't do that. He said, "Oh, gosh, she's much more fun alive than she is dead." So, I think that's kind of the way that one went. So, yeah, that's a good point, Hybrid. Hugo was a good tutor for Alita, particularly in Motorball. I don't think he had a lot to offer her intellectually, in terms of like you would learn from a regular tutor in school, but, he definitely was a good tutor in Motorball, I think, or coach. So good point. Anything else, guys, you can think about Hugo? Like I say, my feelings about Hugo evolved after I've seen the movie so many times, that, yeah, he was pretty much a little shit, when he, kind of did that deal, kept trying to do a deal with Vector, even though he knew that the grind cutters were originally Canubas, and he jacked Canuba and stuff like that. He was, basically doing a deal with the devil, but it's kind of like, Angelus was saying, he came around at the end. Yeah, Finestro, he was a little bit like the Prince of Persia. That's right. So don't forget, Finestro, I can speak German. I can read it too. So anyway, yeah. So yeah.
My interpretation of his deal with Vector was he thought that Vector was giving Alita a legit way to also go to Zalem with him by doing this tryout. And I don't think he was going into it thinking that Alita was going to be killed or anything bad was going to happen to Alita. He just thought that Vector was giving him a way that maybe both he and Alita could go to Zalem.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably thought that because he did say that to her when they got on the bike, when he said, "Hey, there's another way, you become a big motorball star, So yeah, I think you're right on that. Do not stand by. I think at least he believed that. I just don't believe Vector would ever let that happen. I think he was just conning him is all he was doing. So and of course, Alita trusted him. That was kind of goes back to the point of Alita being very trustworthy, right? Or her trusting others, rather. So, okay, I think we hit Hugo pretty hard there. Any last thoughts about Hugo before I move on to Figure 4? Okay, Figure 4 is a different person. He's not. The only thing I can think of that he has similar to Hugo is he's a hard worker. I mean, he's got a kind of a good ethic in that regard. And also, where Hugo jacks cyborgs, Figure 4 kills cyborgs. So I guess they got that somewhat in common, but he's a very physically strong person. Now, I would say this about him. In the manga, he actually picks a fight with Alita, and she literally kicks the crap out of him. I mean, she just beats him to a pulp, and he still keeps getting up. And she says that this guy's unbelievable. That's what she said. Whereas most guys would have stopped. I said, "Oh man, I'm getting destroyed here." He kept coming over and over and over, and I think that was a trait that she really liked in him. Maybe reminded her a little bit of her trait of being, very determined. Because he is a very determined individual. He's also resourceful, now in a different way than Hugo. He's, he can survive in the Badlands, whereas Hugo was good at surviving in Iron City for sure, but he definitely can, he can definitely put things together where he can survive, and not just survive, but flourish. You can see, I don't know if you folks probably don't, I don't know how many of you do any weightlifting, but before you can get guns like that, and if you've seen some other pictures of him, this guy's jacked. You got to be taking care of yourself health wise, and you got to be exercising. Now, I don't think there's any gyms around there that he can work out in. There's certainly no Gold's Gym or Planet Fitness or anything like that, around there where he lives there in Alhambra, or when he goes out to the Badlands. There's certainly no gyms out there. But as you can see, he is in very good shape. And this guy, for a human being, he's pretty potent. As a matter of fact, he's killed to that neck, that, I guess, that fifth bullet down there. He's actually killed like 38 cyborgs. So he's pretty badass, this guy. He is very much a country boy. He's a fisherman. He lives he lives in Alhambra, but Alhambra, at least I get now Alhambra is kind of like a metro, not metro, a suburbia, type of setting there near, not too far from LA anyway, Los Angeles. But my feeling is, in this world, Alhambra is not like it is now. It's probably been decimated. Well, it has been decimated. They had water up to around the third floor, in some of the buildings and stuff like that. So it's not the same, Yeah, Figure 4 is a human, Finestro. Now, at one point, he does get a cyborg arm, but because one of his arms gets, I guess you could just say, removed when he was fighting some other cyborg, and I can't recall the exact circumstance, but he is definitely a human, and when he meets Alita, he is a human. He's fully human, and he's a big guy. He's probably, I want to say, like 6'5", perhaps, although it doesn't go into that in the manga too much. But he towers over Alita. Alita's little. She's like 4'11", and he's big. So he's probably a foot and a half or probably a half a meter taller than Alita, But it didn't matter. When he fought her, she beat the crap out of him because she was in her tuned body, and she just literally just stomped him in the mud almost. I mean, she was because she's much stronger than he is. And there was that one scene where he's trying to hit her with a palm strike, and he's fast. He's a real good fighter. He's super fast, but she's so fast, she not only evaded his palm strike, but she hit him with a palm strike in his nose, and he goes flying back, and he's kind of sitting. He said, "Wow, she's fast," because she was. I mean, she just really and she had a lot of power she hit him with, So, but he is pretty good for a human. I mean, he would, if he was alive today, let's say, say he was a real person. Yeah, he could be in pro wrestling or boxing or something like that, or MMA. He could definitely do it, for sure. And as I say, he's also, when I mentioned great fighter, he's also a warrior. He actually was fighting I think, was he fighting Angelus, or Do Not Stand By? You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but was he not fighting with the Barjack, those folks that were trying to take down Zalem, or was he fighting against them? I can't recall. I don't remember exactly. I know he had a friend Yolg or something like that they were partnering to do some of that stuff. Go ahead and do not stand by.
Yeah, I don't think he was fighting with Barjack at the time. I think he was just he wasn't on either side when he met Alita.
Okay.
He just happened to be a bystander on the train.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's where she was playing that harmonica. And he, of course, figure four kind of sees her, and kind of like Angelus and I would agree, he would see the uwu there, and he's kind of trying to be friendly with her and all that. And she looks at him and she says, "Do not get close to me. Everybody that does dies." So, that's pretty ominous warning, isn't it? So, yeah. Yeah, he's Finestro. He probably was like a freedom fighter, but I guess Do Not Stand By is right about that. He's kind of more like a freelancer, probably, and he's probably more like paramilitary, as opposed to being like Alita was. She was actually in the military, the military anyway. So he's. I would say about him though that he's not the brightest bulb in the bunch. He's. There's one scene where him and Yolg, I guess was his friend's name, where this building collapsed, and they were kind of, looking there, and it, there was kind of like they were sitting or laying down there where, where a frame for a window was, and he says, "Wow, it's a good thing that window was there, or we would have been crushed." And behind him, that he couldn't see, Alita was holding up this big pillar, of concrete and steel behind him, holding it up, looking at him as if to say, "You dumbasses, I just saved y'all's life," something like that, and he's not the smartest guy around, but I think as a person, he has a good heart. There was one scene or one panel there where, she's, she tells him that fighting makes her feel alive. She remembers more who she was and stuff like that, and that war is her thing, sort of. And he kind of looks at her and he says, I love to fight more than I love to eat, but I hate war and the girls that fight them. And it kind of got her attention, So he seemed to have a really good friendship with that Yolg guy. So I think he's really got a super good heart, figure four does. So anyway, any thoughts about that, Angelus, or Do Not Stand By about figure four?
No, just that he's my personal favorite.
Yeah.
Me,
What, okay. All right, Finestro. I don't know if I call him Creaky Four or not. He's he's probably in his mid-30s. So anyway, that's very funny though. What about you, Don? Stand by. Any thoughts about figure four?
Yeah, I think he had a really nice role in Alita's development, in that she's kind of losing her humanity being part of the Toon, and to meet figure four, he restored some of her humanity and her desire to be more than just a tool of Zalem. So I think he played a different role in Alita's development than Hugo did, in that the movie Hugo helped Alita find her berserker body and find who she really was. But figure four, I think this was a different stage in Alita's life. She had more idea of who she was, but she was becoming a drone of Zalem. I guess a lot of us can relate to that in becoming, going out to the workplace and feeling like we've lost our way because we're just doing the 9 to 5, and we don't know who we really are. And I think figure four played that role in getting Alita to realize who she was again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think figure four certainly. Well, he also, well, of course, Hugo did this to a degree too. I mean, helped her find a little bit of her softer side, didn't he? So I think he did that too. I think the main thing though is when she started I think she started falling for him when they had that fight in the desert. Even though she's kicking his butt, he was getting her attention mentally. I think, he was like, well, her response was, "I can't believe this guy." you know, how he kept coming, even though he was beat to a pulp, he still kept getting up and coming, so that's one of my favorite panels in the manga, by the way. Angelus, any thoughts there about figure 4?
Nothing that you already haven't already brought up.
Yeah.
How
He's
about-
like saying, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
How about Last Order? I haven't read the parts in Last Order with figure 4. How does he portray there?
Well, he's pretty much the same, as he is in the second volume of the original manga book set. What he does in the Last Order, and I don't want to give it away at the end and all that kind of stuff, but when Alita leaves him to go do what she has to do, and he tells her, he said, "Well, I'll be here, when you finish your day job," I think is what he said. And she said, "Okay," but she said, "Don't cheat on me." That's what she said, to him. He said, "I won't," So anyway, and that's kind of how that ended. How when she lost him. But I guess in Last Order, figure 4, hasn't seen her for a while, and he's worried about her, I guess, and stuff like that. So he commences. I think he gets Ito. I think, and they try to Ito and Koyomi and. Angelus, help me out here. There was those 3. I don't know if Elf and Swerve were with them or not. Yeah, I think they were, perhaps. I know Zex happens in there at some point, but that's right. If Cranberry Jam's out there listening to this, yeah, we did bring up Zex. So anyway, and they go looking for her, and figure 4 is the one that's spearheading that because he's worried about her, So. And then of course they go through the whole arc of him looking for her and stuff like that. So, did I get that right, Angelus, or am I off a little bit?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. So I think figure 4. I think he really loves Alita. Now Hugo did too at the end for sure. In the movie he said he did, but I think figure 4 really loves Alita a lot, and to the point where he's willing to risk trying to fight his way up to Zalem and even get to Jeru at that point to find her, So that's quite a commitment, I think. So, okay, well, I can't think of anything else to say about figure 4. I don't have Fisherman up there. Yes, he was a fisherman. The Creek likes him because I think he's an American Indian. Plus, he's ripped. He's big. So I like that too.
Well, I guess figure 4. Hugo had the potential of learning from his mistakes, but figure 4 did that the hard way, and without any outside help. Everything he did was his own. I felt was his own choice. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I got from the movie itself.
Yeah.
Not the movie, the manga.
Yeah, the manga. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, finesse. You Aussies are going to get me eventually, aren't you? Jealous. Finestro asked if we knew any of figure 4's history. Now he's got a figure 4 Alita's history. Let me split this up into 2. I don't know much about figure 4's backstory, only up to the point where he meets Alita on the train. That's all I know, on that what they call the atomic train or the nuclear train or something like that. He meets her on that, and they kind of have a contentious relationship at the beginning, a little bit, but of course, as they kind of fell for each other, I guess. And of course, Alita gets in this fight and she gets both of her feet got shot off or blew up or something like that. She didn't have feet, so she couldn't walk. So, and they were out in the desert, and Figure 4 kills his 38th android, saving her, I believe is the way that worked. And so he picks her up and puts her on his back, and he starts to walk across the desert with her. And she says, I don't want you to do that because I don't want you to die because of me. And he said, no, I'm not going to leave the woman I love, out to die in the desert, So anyway, and then, of course, he begins to trek across the desert with her, So, and that's about all I know about it. But I don't know if his backstory. I don't think that's been documented in any way, unless it's in one of those side stories that I missed. So,
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of Alita's foes have more backstory than Figure 4 does. I wonder if that's something that maybe Robert Rodriguez or Alita Calligridis can write into the sequels.
Yeah. Or maybe not just a sequel. Maybe they could do a little bit of a series on it, where, he and Alita, or in the part one of a couple of the episodes of the series, and they do maybe a little, maybe not a flashback, but something just to set his backstory up, like they can do in movies sometimes, I think. So, yeah, I know. I agree with. I can't forget if it was Ash or somebody said that Figure 4 is Dan's favorite guy for Alita. I agree with that. I think Dan does like Figure 4 a lot. Matter of fact, I guess it was last year, year before, he did a poll on who was the best person for Alita. So anyway, I think he voted for Figure 4. Is who he voted for. So. It's kind of funny when you see him, though. When you think about him, he's big. He's 6'5", and she's 4'11". Think about that. She probably comes up to the center of his chest. Maybe the top of her head's in the center of his chest, something like that. And you can see in the picture, he's a monster, man. That guy's big. He's, he's a fictitious character for sure, but he's big, man. That's why the Creek likes him, likes that part about him too, So, okay, guys, anything else about him? We just about wore him out, I think. Yeah, not as much. Go ahead, Angelos.
No, I'm going to say the same thing.
Yeah, not as much info on him as there is, say, a Hugo, because Hugo is in the manga and in the movie, so a lot more people know him more, I guess, than they know Figure 4. But if you've read the manga, Figure 4. There's no doubt about it. So,
well, speaking of that, the Hugo in the manga has a pretty big backstory, and they also have it in the anime as well. And I think that's a tendency of Yukito Kishiro. They likes to give either tragic characters or the villains very heartbreaking backstories, because then you can sympathize with them, and they're just not one-dimensional villains anymore.
That's right. Yeah, and in the case of Hugo too, they go into, I know in the novelization they mention it, but his father, actually was a factory worker, and he kept losing limbs and stuff like that, and they kept making more of him a cyborg, and then he finally dies, I think. And I think that was one of the things that drove not just Hugo in the movie, probably, although he wasn't mentioned in the movie, but in the manga, he was also, that probably what was driving Hugo, to do what he did and to be what he was, I think. So yeah, you're right. Do not stand by it. That makes him less one-dimensional, doesn't it? So, because you can see why he is the way he is, so. Yeah, go ahead.
I think Figure 4 might actually have gotten the short stick from Yukito Kishiro, because other than possibly his Last Order, it doesn't seem like he has that much depth to his character.
Yeah. Yeah, at least there's no backstory on him, and he's more of a, I wouldn't call him giddy, but he's kind of more of a oaf kind of character in some ways, when Alita meets him, type thing. But still, once again, I think he's got a really good heart. So, that's a plus for him, I guess. I don't know, Finestro, about Figure 4 being able to kill Nova. Nova, Nova has that Methuselization for him. Plus, he's got that nano machine network cloud that he can repair himself real fast. So because there was one part in the manga where Alita kills Nova, but she sees him again later. Said, "I killed you," No, you didn't. It was one of those kind of things. So. Yeah, I don't know about this one. What is that? Nephilims or something like that? Strong jack humans, offsprings of angels. I don't know if he's an offspring of an angel or not. Okay, well,
Yeah,
I think that. Oh, go ahead.
I wonder if maybe there'll be a tie-in to Figure 4 somehow in Martian Chronicles, and if there may be an opportunity to give him some backstory there, or to have him be related to people that Alita knows.
I know in the Martian Chronicles I've read, Figure 4 is not in there. Even in that second volume, he's not in there that I can recall. Maybe Angelus, you can correct me on that, but I don't remember him being in the Martian Chronicles. And if he's going to be in the Martian Chronicles as part of a backstory, like you say, do not stand by. I think Kishiro would have to write like a volume 9 or something like that, because I think he's already written volume 8. And I don't think he's in that either, although I don't have it yet. Okay, any last thought about Figure 4?
No, that's about it for me.
Okay. All right, folks. Who's it going to be? Hugo or Figure 4? I think I know Angelus's answer already. I think you picked Figure 4 a while ago, didn't you?
Yeah, ultimately I'd be going for Figure 4, but I mean, I don't know. It's how should I put it? Yeah, like as much as I loved Hugo for what was it? From learning from his mistakes, it's not much to it after that.
Yeah.
Like my last choice would be Figure 4 as well.
Okay. What about you? Do not stand by. Who do you think would be the best for Alita?
Yeah, I'll go with Figure 4 because Alita, I think she lost a part of herself at the stage where he met her, and she brought back some of her humanity. And then in the original 9 volumes, he literally brings back her humanity when she's back as a human again, and they have their happy ending. So I think that was the original intention of Figure 4 to restore Alita's humanity fully. While Hugo was just at the beginning a tragic story to deepen Alita's commitment to at first Motorball and then taking care of Iron City. So yeah, I do hope though that in the movies that Figure 4 will get more of a backstory, and there'll be more about how he became the way he was. And so I look forward to that. That gives me more motivation to fight for the sequel.
Okay. Yeah. And the Crank also picks Figure 4, over Hugo. Not that I think Hugo would be bad, because it's like Angelus said a while ago that, he did come around, he did eventually she got to him, I guess, and he kind of changed, his outlook on things and stuff like that, But I kind of agree with you. Do not stand by in that. I think when Alita first meets him, it's almost like an infatuation thing, isn't it? And and he's he's good to her and he helps her a lot. But I think figure four, I agree with you that that he kind of restores her humanity, because you remember when they were on the train, uh, that Yolg told figure four he better not mess with that girl because she's the angel of death. So she's she at that point when she was in the tuned program, she was just basically a killer, I mean an assassin pretty much, just doing the bidding of Zalem, so yeah, I agree with you. Kind of figure four kind of, snapped her out of that, out of that kind of point in her life where she was doing all that negative, doing all that negative stuff. I guess you could just say it. So, okay, Ash Blackwind says he originally early on said he was for. He's for Hugo, but I think if Figure Four shows up in a sequel or something like that, he gets a chance to. He's probably going to switch. He's going to switch to Figure Four. So anyway, yep.
Well, here's an idea for maybe leader Calogridis to consider. Since the sequel will likely focus a lot on Japan, maybe Figure Four could somehow be related to Japan. And maybe there could be some backstory there.
Yeah, maybe so. Although I'd say they're in pretty different locales. Japan's in Iron City, and Figure Four is out in Alhambra, which is a ways from Iron City. So, I don't know how he'd meet Japan. Especially, Alita basically. Well, I don't want to give away the manga, but Japan's not around when Alita meets Figure Four. He has departed the planet, as we would say. So, but you have to go look at that. And looks like Finestro is voting. He's voting for two other people. He says this guy named Fatso is for Hugo, and this guy named Stinky is for Figure Four. So, okay, those are proxy votes. I guess we'll take them. Now he says Stretch is Alita. I don't know who is he voting for. Alita? Maybe he wants Alita to be single. I guess I don't know.
Well, I guess he doesn't necessarily need anyone per se.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody want to comment? Anybody in the chat want to say anything about who they vote for? You just type it in the chat. I'm keeping notes here.
Well, it seems to me that Yukito Kishiro does basically have Alita be on her own, because even after she meets Figure Four, she has many, many adventures, especially with Last Order, before she's reunited with Figure Four.
Yes.
But the question is, which one of Hugo or Figure Four would be best for Alita if she were to settle down?
Okay, Finestro thinks that both of them are good, so I guess he's casting half a vote for Hugo and half a vote for Figure Four, I guess. So, okay, I guess we can do that. Okay, if nobody else is going to vote, I guess we'll reveal who the winner is for sure. And that's going to be
Oscar goes to
Figure Four, yeah, Figure Four, got 5.5 votes. Hugo got 3.5. So
3.5 compared to 5.5. That's respectable.
Yeah, Hybrid says Figure Four gets 4, but he's forgetting that we voted too. So anyway, that's cool. Yeah, so Figure Four is the best. Now that panel right there, what was neat about this, remember I had said a while ago that, Alita, I guess, and Angelus, you or Do Not Stand By, correct me, but I think she gets kind of in a fight with another cyborg or an android or something with somebody. and she gets injured, and both of her feet get taken off, and so she can't walk. And I guess Figure Four rescues her, and he kills the cyborg that was going to basically kill Alita, I guess. And he like say, he puts her on his back, and he starts walking across the desert, and he said, "No, I can't." Alita says, "No, I can't let you do this. I can't let you die for me." And he said, "No, I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to leave the woman I love out in the desert to die." So anyway, what happened there is, and I forget what these fish are all about, but the fish kind of, I guess it was like a storm in which the fish, got pulled up out of maybe the ocean or a river or something like that, and it rained on them, and of course that gave them food. They could eat fish, I guess. And of course, there you see they're all giddy because I guess they thought they were both done for, at that point. And then all these fish come down, and all this rain comes down. And they know they're saved, So anyway, any last thoughts about that? What do y'all think about Figure Four being the best for Alita?
Well, being an oaf is actually something that Alita can relate to in a sense, in that she has a dogged determination to do what's best for the ones that she loves, and that's Figure Four to a T as well. In that, he just is determined, no matter what, to do everything he can for Alita, just as Alita was as determined to do everything she could for Hugo.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I don't know if Hugo would have been able to do that or not. He might have been able to, but I don't think he would have. Even if he had been, I'm not sure he could have killed the cyborg, like Figure Four did, So that was his 38th kill, I think, is what the manga says. Angelus, what do you think?
About what, like the final result, or what?
Yeah. Final result.
No. I mean, I guess no. Like, it's what I have in mind is difficult to put in words. At least, like, not without like putting some thought behind it. And since the question only just came up, like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, just for the folks that are out there, we don't have a really big stream today, but down in the comments, I put Den's video down there that kind of looked at, or kind of reviewed both. Actually, he looked at Hugo and Hugo as two different characters, and of course, Figure Four and Chaos. So he looked at basically three characters for Alita, whereas we just kind of basically took two characters here. But that's a pretty neat video. I mean, it's one of my favorite videos that he's done. I think it's called Alita in Love or something like that. But anyway, you can click on that link and watch it. It's worth the watch. It's a good video. So, okay, guys, did we miss anything?
No. Pretty much spot on as far as I can tell.
All right, cool. Yeah, Alita does love her Uncle Creek. Mainly because he's trying to get her a sequel, I guess. So anyway, I hope Figure Four hates pineapple. That's what Finestro said. Pineapple on pizza.
Bullshit.
Blasphemy, Finestro. So, oh gosh, by the way, I don't. Do you guys got Domino's pizza there in Australia, in Straya?
Yes, we do.
Cool. They do put together pineapple pizza. You know that, don't you?
Yep. So does the local kebab shop nearby, and pineapple. Chef's kiss. Pineapple belongs on pizza.
Yeah, I hope I don't destroy Finestro's opinion of me, but I like pineapple on pizza too. So, of course, I like just about any pizza really, except I don't like anchovies. They're a little too salty for me, I think, So, Not that I'd turn down an anchovy pizza, but that'd be my least preferable, topping on a pizza. Yeah, Finestro. Yeah. All right, Creek, you've had it. That's funny. Okay, we didn't miss anything. So I guess the next thing, I guess, is that, this is our queen right here. Boy, that's a nice picture of her. And I did send this to you, didn't I, Angelus? I think I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, were you going to show the video like you mentioned at the beginning? Video of Rosa?
Yeah. Yeah, let's play that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Anyway, we played this last week, but just to give everybody, get folks' spirits up going into the weekend, or like, I guess in Angelus's case, he's midway through the weekend almost. But we'll play this video that Rosa, where she was at WonderCon in Dallas, not Dallas, Austin, Texas. And she was there to actually talk about Undone. But of course, our queen can't resist talking about Alita.
It's mind-blowing. And it's like very rare for actors to be, I mean, not rare, we all love to smell our own farts, but like it's rare for us to be looking at something that we did going like, wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
This
like,
is
so
amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so proud, and I'm glad this is out there. I haven't said that about all my stuff. Yeah, y'all know my resume.
I love Alita.
I mean, I have said that about Alita. Alita Army. What's up, Army?
Robert Rodriguez is currently working on Book of Boba Fett on Disney+. There's a rumor out there that if that went well, he was going to pitch an Alita series to Disney+. Have you heard anything about that? and have you even spoken to Robert since that first film about moving forward?
Yeah, I harass them all the time. Like it might become a legal issue soon. When I was, I email with James Cameron a lot where I'm just like, how are you? And like, how are the avatars? And like Alita. Yeah. And he's always like, I'm so down, which is crazy to hear someone like James Cameron be like, I'm so down. Yeah. And when we were in South by Southwest, I went over to Robert's house and had tea and was just talking about Alita. And we, all three of us, has so much love for Alita. It's never outside of our line of vision ever. Everything we do, we're just sort of like, how do we get back there? I mean, we all three of us took jobs with Disney. I made like a little show. They're doing Star Wars and Avatars. It's the same. But we're trying like hell. We're trying like hell to get her back out there because we know how much, just like this, her story means so much to women, to young girls, to boys, to everybody. I mean, I think she represents something that transcends race, gender, all of that. So we're working on it, man.
I'm super
working on it.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, that's really cool, that she did that. I guess Do Not Stand By, you probably hadn't seen that video, have you?
I didn't see the Cinnamon Blend one. I saw the first one. And I was really struck by her humility and making fun of her resume and stuff, but giving us the shout out for Alita Army. But it's really great to see that second video where she talks about how she's harassing Robert Rodriguez and Jim Cameron.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's we played that. That came out last week, I guess, or not this past week, but the week before last week. And we played it on this stream, we played it on the Radio Chaos stream, and it kind of uplifted all of our spirits. And yeah, Hybrid, you're absolutely right. Our queen is stunning. She is really a pretty lady, so anyway, and she's not only that, certainly, I mean, she's certainly that, but most of all, she is a great actor. I mean, just how expressive she was as Alita. God, it was just knocked my head off first time I saw it, and it knocks my head off every time I see it now. When I still watch Alita, it still knocks my head off. So anyway, yeah, then, Cinema Blend is great. Now, they don't concentrate on Alita, but they certainly, Mike Reyes and others are, and that guy that was interviewing her, that asked her the question, his name's Jeff, and I can't recall his last name, but anyway, Yeah, they, Mike Reyes, he's in the elite army for sure, So anyway, this is our queen. This is this actor right here, this lady. She is #1 in the Creeks book. That's for sure. She's super. And I hope I'm embarrassing her if she sees this stream because I really do think she's great. So anyway,
On
any
that
thoughts
note,
about this one? Yeah.
yeah. On that note, if she is watching this stream, you've heard me say it about before. You've seen me tweet about it before, but her shit's really, really good. Like, I mean, I can't speak highly enough of all the other work that she's done, especially in particular, both Undone and Brand New Cherry Flavor. Like those two in particular. Oh, I'd even rate it like not by very much at all, but I'd even rate it above the work she did in Maze Runner because like that shit was amazing. That's all I can.
Well, I saw her in. Now I haven't seen Brand New Cherry Flavor, and Maxie beats me up every time. I got to watch that. But I did see her in Divergent. She didn't have a very big part in that. She played a soldier in that one, and her head was shaved and all that. But hey, it was still her. It's great. So yeah. So anyway, yeah. Every time the Creek sees her picture pop up on the internet somewhere, whether it's Facebook or say Twitter or Instagram, I don't get on Instagram that much, but I always put 4 hearts on that thing because she's #1, Jack. She's #1 in the Creek's book, and she's a great actor. So, okay, I guess we embarrassed her enough if she does see this. So anyway, Angelus, are you going to be the host of this tomorrow? I didn't look at the show notes recently. I don't remember.
I'm not too sure, but I don't think that. I think it'll be Maxie, but I'll still be there as well.
Yeah, I will too. I think I probably will be late. Maybe not. I might not be late. It depends. I'm doing kind of a small local strongman competition. I don't really get into strongman competition too much, but my strength coach, I'm kind of doing it for him a little bit, and it's it's going to be a lot of fun. One of the things I'm looking forward to is the car pull. So, you basically, you get on the, you're sitting down, you got blocks in front of you, and you got a chain, and you pull the car toward you, and they measure how many seconds it takes you to get the car up to wherever the line is, So anyway, in this particular, to get back onto this, I guess, is that, what we're going to talk about is, do we think that Alita and Zapan would have been like in any kind of like romantic relationship? Now I know how Angelus and I would vote on this, but we're gonna chat about it. Because when you think about it, Alita and Zapan have a lot in common. They do. They're both hunter warriors. They're both total replacement cyborgs. So they have those two things in common. That doesn't necessarily mean though that they'd be an item, as they would say. So anyway, that's going to be tomorrow on the Radio Chaos, roughly 24 hours after this stream. And that Alita Pan, of course, Alita and Zapan relationship, or no, skip it. No, that's what we're going to be chatting about tomorrow. Any thoughts? What do you think, Angelus? Yeah.
Give me chaos over that person anytime.
Yes. What do you think? Do not stand by. What do you think about Alita and Zapan possibly having a relationship?
Oh no, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Yeah, Alita wants to give people the benefit of the doubt, but even when she first walked in the bar, she just couldn't stand the guy. The way she
Yeah.
his hand off of her,
Yeah.
and the way that well, I'll never forget the way she slammed his face through the table. So I don't think you can bounce back from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Ash Blackman brings up a good thing that it's obvious that Ed Skrein is that he's interested in Alita, but there's no reciprocation there. And in the I guess the novelization, there's definitely no reciprocation there. She just absolutely can't stand the guy. So, but anyway, we're going to chat about that tomorrow at Radio Chaos. It's going to be a lot of fun too, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, butting heads is as Dr. Destinova says. Yeah, they'd butt heads, but I know who would come out on top on that one. So for sure, Okay. Anyway, just to kind of bring things to a little bit of a close here, why is this image here? Well, this image is here because the creek likes it, and I'm running the stream. And just to paraphrase Gerwishka, I am only here for our girl. And of course, all of us in the Elite Army are here for our girl and the Elite Army. So there you have it. Any last thoughts? Do not stand by or Angelus.
Like my vote was always going to be figure 4, but like how should I phrase this? I can't speak English very well early in the morning. Well, I did say that Hugo did have something going for him in the context of like having the capability or even potential of learning from his life experiences, good and bad decisions. 99% of them being bad. Obviously, like out of all the special places in Alita's heart, figure 4 holds the highest point because she thought about him to the point where she made duplicate of herself because she couldn't keep a promise, and like she couldn't bear to just leave that promise unfulfilled. She had to do something, anything about it, and that shows a level of care that goes beyond just sort of like an emotional attachment or like it's definitely a deeper than like surface love, and that's the best way I can put coin the term. Like there's like definitely a deeper like romantic connection there that can't be spoken. It can just be experienced.
So. Yeah, that's right. Well, I would say this too, is that even though when Alita first meets Hugo, what's that? No.
For the manga.
No, I'm not going to spoil the manga. No, when Alita meets Hugo in the movie the first time, there is a little bit of an infatuation type thing going on there. But I agree with you. As they get to know each other better, it becomes a little deeper. I agree with that, And the difference between that one and figure 4, when she meets figure 4, it's a contentious thing. It's not there is no infatuation. I mean, they start out, certainly fighting, and it end up with her being all tied up. At one point she's hanging from the side of a building, and he's making fun of her. And then when she kind of manages to break free, and then she kind of wraps her, she kind of had her arms are tied, but she had her legs wrapped around his neck somehow, and she's going to break his neck if that Yolg didn't pull him up, and then I think the cable snapped or something like that. I can't remember, but it didn't kill him, So, and then of course she fights him and beats him to a pulp. and that I wouldn't call that infatuation. I'd call that a very combative, kind of an initial meeting or relationship, so. But it certainly grew into a more deeper, kind of a love thing, So So they both start out different, but they kind of end up in the same place, in terms of how they were with each other, So, okay, do not stand by. Did you want to say one more thing?
Sure. My final thought is that now that I think about it, I like your idea, Creek, of having a TV series about Figure 4 leading up to maybe the third movie. You might be able to be introduced briefly at the end of the second movie, but then have a TV series about Figure 4. People identify with them before we go to the third movie. Because the movies are really about Alita, but if you really want people to root for Figure 4, you got to have a separate series for people to grow to like them.
Yeah, that's right. As a matter of fact, you heard Rosa say in that video where she was at WonderCon that Robert Rodriguez. We talked about this a little bit last week. That he's pitching Disney. He may have already pitched it. I don't know. But he's pitching Disney on an Alita series. So we kind of. What I think that possibly is, and once again, I don't have any kind of insider information, and I'm just an avid fan. That's it. But what I think it is that Rodriguez is building on the successes that he's had. He did a very good job on The Mandalorian. On those episodes that he did, that he directed. Then of course he did. He did the Book of Boba Fett. And we talked about that last week, I guess, when Mike Reyes was on, is that, it was successful, but it was kind of a little bit of a mixture of things. Some of the haters didn't like it because it kind of seemed to deviate in their mind, I guess, from the what you would call probably the canon, Star Wars canon, if that's it. And then, of course, they had one episode that Boba Fett wasn't in at all. They just had Mando in it, and I think also some of them are a little pissed still about Gina Carano not being on Mandalorian, which I agree with that. I think despite her her political beliefs, I don't care about that. I just think she's a good actor and she should be in Mandalorian too, or whatever. But anyway, that's another story. But I think he's trying to build on this in such a way that now he gets more and more leverage, and I think he wants to have a successful series first. And then by the time Avatar, 2 comes out and is a big hit, which I think it's going to be, they're going to have a lot more ammunition, to be able to convince Disney to do an Alita sequel. That's kind of what I think, or at least the way I hope things are going. But he's definitely pitching for a series right now, so we just keep our fingers crossed, as they would say. So. Okay, guys, I guess that's pretty much it.
Yep.
And I guess on that note, we'll do the call to action, which would be, of course, Film No Sequels, baby, on my count of 3. And that would be 1, 2, 3.
Film No Sequels, baby.
Baby. All right. Good night, good day, and we'll see you on Radio Chaos tomorrow.